Welcome back to House TV Live. I'm Rick Spence, and with me today is Nils Finne with Finne Architects in Seattle, Washington, doing amazing projects all over the world. You've won so many awards on House. You've been in business nearly 30 years. And today we're going to talk about this amazing project in Venice, California. So thank you for joining us, Nils.
I'm very happy to be here.
This is a absolutely beautiful design, and I thought maybe we could start with the outside of the home and kind of work our way in. So tell me about how you sited the home and what some of the challenges were in the space. It doesn't look like a massive lot. I imagine the lots are a little smaller in that area. And what was the strategy there?
Most of the lots in Venice are very, very small. Some of them are only 3,000 square feet. My client was lucky enough to find 11,000 square feet or so. But it's a long rectangle. I kind of masked most of the house along the easterly edge. So I kind of made the house long and linear, and that left me with a garden space on the west side that literally went the entire depth of the lot. The living area projects into the garden space, and then there's a pool as well that's part of that garden. But the idea of turning the house and kind of making it linear and then taking advantage of the full depth of the lot, I think was a bit unusual, and my clients really loved the idea.
Tell me a little bit about when you design a home like this. It's a modern home, but it has a little bit of craftsman-esque detail to it. Tell me about how you combined kind of those two things and made it a part of this home and the materials in general.
Well, you're touching on a subject very dear to my heart. I have been striving to create what I call crafted modernism for many, many years. And the philosophy is that modern architecture has gotten a bad rap, that it's cheap, that it's thin, that it's poorly detailed, that it falls apart, that it doesn't have that kind of material richness and craft that more traditional homes have. And my campaign, if you will, or my response to that argument is that the modern architecture that I'm trying to achieve uses modern forms, but with a richer palette of materials and with a sense of detailing and craft that brings back the positive elements of what people feel about older homes. And, hey, let's face it, we're in the 21st century. The idea of making a house that looks like something that was created, 100, 200 years ago seems kind of silly. And so let's make an architecture of today, and let's make something that speaks to our modern times, but then bring in the element of craft and material and detail that allows that house to really endure and not look cheap and kind of ragged after just a few years. This interesting brick that we have. You can see the brick as you approach the house. It's kind of an accent wall there by the front entry, and then you can see it again in the fireplace. That brick is a very unique brick. It's called the Columba brick, and it was designed by a Swiss architect named Peter Zumthor, who is regarded as one of the world's leading architects. He's currently working on a massive redesign of LACMA, the LA County Museum in Los Angeles. So each Columba brick has this beautiful linearity. And then the firing of the clay body is wonderful. It has a very organic feel, and there's a tremendous amount of color variation. The Columba brick is manufactured in Denmark. We shipped it to Los Angeles. As far as I know, I don't think there are any other uses of this brick in Los Angeles. There may be by now, but at the time we did the house, I think it was one of the first.
Tell me a little bit about that roof line.
I believe that roof forms are a tremendous possibility of bringing kind of a sculptural presence to a house. Someone once called the roof the fifth facade, because you have north, south, east, and west, and then the roof. That's number 5. Now, it may be that only people flying by in airplanes or drones or maybe God see that, but it is a facade, and it does have the potential of animating spaces inside in a very, wonderful, remarkable way. And it brings light into houses in very interesting ways by staggering roofs and by, manipulating light. The roof forms on the Venice house are kind of animated. The main bedroom wing roof has kind of a folded feeling. And then the roof over the main living space is and get ready for this, it's a technical term, it's a hyperbolic paraboloid. There's 2 different slopes that are tied together by this overall roof shape. And when you're inside, you see this gentle curvature to the way the beams work inside there. And it's all done with straight beams. So anyway, the living room roof is kind of the pièce de résistance, the main meal. And then the bedroom wing roof is kind of, the appetizer or the intro, if you will.
This home is simply breathtaking. So much to look at here. So let's take a look at some of the main living areas. The front door is beautiful. It's definitely a grand gesture when you first enter the home.
The overall idea is the front door is a handshake. The house is shaking your hand and saying hello to you. And so I think, as with anyone, when you're first meeting them, that first handshake is important. It's 5 feet wide by 8 feet high on this offset pivot hinge, which allows it to open very smoothly back and forth, because the weight of the door is not hanging on hinges. It's hanging on this pivot, which supports it at the top and the bottom. You can open it back and forth with your finger. It's really quite wonderful.
Now, the stairs you have this combination of that beautiful wood with the metal. How important was it to have sort of that sculptural wood element to give it a little bit of that modernist craftsman? What were you calling it?
Yeah, crafted modernism.
Crafted modernism. Got it. Okay. I'll remember that now.
Yeah, we'll get you hooked on crafted modernism.
I'm already hooked.
Okay. Well, to answer your question, of course, the stair is extremely important. It's the first thing you see as you come in. Clearly, it's leading up to the more private area of the house. So many people enter the house and they see it but don't use it. But it adds, a very sculptural presence to that entry space. And as you noted, there is a fairly intense amount of detailing to the kind of floating wood treads. And then the handrail itself is a piece of sapele wood, which is a beautiful mahogany type wood. And it's been shaped, it's been molded into a kind of a organic shape that I use on many of my projects. That's not just a round handrail, it's actually an asymmetrical shape that fits your hand very beautifully. So yeah, I think it kind of sets the tone for that entire space. So that's kind of the introduction to the house. One of the clients loves to play the piano, and it's a great space for that piano. Kind of around the corner, there's also a powder room there, so you can kind of take care of all the business as you come in. And then as you're standing in that front entry space, you kind of turn a little bit to the left, and then you can see all the way down to the fireplace. You can see through the entire kind of living area of the house, the dining room and the living room beyond that. And then, of course, the way how that portion of the house opens up to the pool and so on.
It is breathtaking when you're in the fireplace area, looking back towards the pool and the dining area, and you see that wood. It also has almost a musical feeling to it.
Yeah, I think the idea of progression, you can think of musical scales where you're playing the scales and so on, that there is, a musical aspect to this idea of an architectural progression. And then as you pointed out, you see the pool on the left. The doors to the pool are a story unto themselves, because each door panel is 10 feet wide and 8 feet high, and they both slide back. So when you slide those doors back, the opening to the pool is 20 feet wide by 8 feet high. And those doors were made here in Seattle by a company I've used for many years named Quantum Windows and Doors. And they are experts at making these enormous wood doors.
And they operate just as nice as the front door. Beautiful.
They do.
Smooth, just like butter.
They do. They have what we call lift slide technology, where you take this handle and you turn it up and it lifts the whole door up off the track. And then you can slide that door back and forth with your finger. That's how easily they move.
Tell me about the kitchen now. And I really love the offset that you did here, having the sink off to one side and then the glass countertop off to the other.
Well, the kitchen island is designed kind of as a piece of sculpture, this kind of block, if you will, of the engineered quartz, so that the quartz comes to the front edge and just turns down. So you read the whole thing kind of as a shape. That shape, that block, is elevated off the floor 10 inches and it kind of floats at the ends. It's cantilevered out. So I think that in a large kitchen as this one is, the opportunity is there to make that island really kind of an accent piece, if you will. The cabinets and all the workspaces and so on kind of surround that island. And that is a piece of low iron cast glass from a company in Seattle named Glassworks that we use often in our projects. And then I set that counter down at 30 inches above the floor so that you could have a chair there and sit and have your breakfast or talk to the cooks and so on and so forth. I personally think that there is something comfortable, reassuring, and stable, if you will, about sitting in a chair with your feet on the floor, as opposed to dangling your feet on one of these bar stools. You have a few glasses of wine and you start to kind of teeter, whereas if you're in a good chair, you know you're on the ground and you're not going to go anywhere.
And if you fall, you're closer to the floor, so you're fine.
Exactly. Exactly.
Tell me more about the lighting, what you did to kind of help them be even better cooks.
The light fixture over the island, we made that fixture with a company that I use a lot here in Seattle named Landbridge Lighting. Clearly, for a very sculptural island like that, you start looking at off-the-shelf light fixtures and you just kind of go through hundreds and nothing quite works. So I designed this piece, and the steel detailing kind of picks up on the other steel detailing we have in the house. And of course, the shape and the length of it is very closely tailored to our particular island. And then in terms of the rest of the kitchen, you'll notice on the back work counter that the backsplash is all glass, translucent glass, which brings in the light but doesn't allow the view, kind of a side yard there that you don't really want to look out. And then when you're cooking, glass is a great surface for cleaning. It's completely smooth. There's no grout lines to worry about getting dirty and so on. So the glass is fantastic in that direction. And then the last thing is that two of those windows open so that if you have the large sliding doors towards the pool open and those windows open, you get an incredible cross draft right through the house, through the kitchen area, which is very, very useful.
What a beautiful, peaceful place to just hang out.
You know, as it happened, of course, my clients have been hunkered down, because of the pandemic. They've been in the house, and I did get an email from them, sequestered in place there for a couple months, and they said, you know, Nils, we are loving it. we just get to stay in this house. And I said, yeah, it looks pretty nice, Andy. So
It sounds like an amazing collaborative effort, and I can just see it in your smile when you talk about the home. What pleasure you get knowing how happy they are in the home. And congratulations on that. Just beautiful. And I hope to see more of your projects in the future. Come see you in person, do something once the pandemic allows us to travel a little bit more.
Well, thank you, Rick. And it's been a lot of fun doing this with you. So I very much appreciate this opportunity.
Absolutely. We'll be in touch.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, see you. Bye-bye.